Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to PSGL Season 26. This is the F2 Tiers Round 4 around the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia in Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix. My name is Jess, and joining me as per usual, we got Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Jess. Lovely to be back once again, giving coverage of PSGL F2 here today. It's going to be quite an interesting one. We're probably going to see some rain at some point, knowing PSGL F2 this season.
Yes, basically all the races we've had so far, 3 out of 3 were rain affected, pretty much for the majority of the race. And I'll be doing sun dances today, so hopefully we're going to see sunshine or even overcast throughout majority of the session. And first of all, we got to talk about Rafa, who has had 3 wins out of 3, all in the rain. So dominant that he has been. And he's just the one to watch in this championship. And I wonder if the conditions are going to change in the race. I wonder how he's going to cope with it. But to be honest, I think Rafa is looking unstoppable at the moment.
Absolutely. I've seen on Twitter how demanding his schedule is on a regular basis. And I'm actually shocked that he's got time for practice. I commend him so much for that. And to be leading the championship and winning all races, even the pre-season, you've really got to hand it to him. He is definitely one who is the favourite to win this race and probably the entire championship. He's about to begin a lap, but I believe Gonanen is the furthest up on a lap right now.
Okay, so we'll just go on board with Gonanen as he goes past the Sector 2 split, as he just opens the DRS lap really quickly, actually, going into turns 10 and 11. That is the corners to watch out for, I think, turns 9, 10, 11... and turns 5 and 6 as well, because you could potentially get a move there. As Gonanen had a little bit of a slide there. That's a common corner just to lose the back end a little bit on traction with the understeer. So Gonanen's going to be the first person to set the lap time. The start-finish straight is another corner where you're going to see a lot of overtaking today. But Gonanen's going to set a 1:14.7, which is not bad for the soft compounder tyres. And in the race, you want to get rid of the softs really quickly, because otherwise you're going to lose so much grip in the race in terms of your optimum pace. It's kind of like China. It's around about a similar length compared to China. So, that's why some people hate this track, because the softs do wear out pretty quickly due to the tyre temps. But some people like this track. I think Greeny's liking this. He's on pole position right now.
Well, a 1:14.1 banker is actually a very decent time there. And Dario also getting really close to him. He's been really confident in practice. I've been speaking to him quite a lot lately about his times, and he's been doing really well in practice. I don't know if I want to give it out what exact lap times that they are, but they are very quick laps.
Yeah, Dario did a fantastic job last week in his first outing in the Alfa Romeo. I do believe he got a P4 in the race. He was so close to getting a podium, and he's one of those drivers from the IGK team that is on the rise at the moment as an esports team. Don't forget, they've won the Trove Sprint Cup recently, and they have a lot of fast drivers in there as well. The drivers are starting to grow on their capabilities and improvements. So, Dario's in the right place, and we could see him in F1, not in a not too distant future, as Dario goes into the pits now. Name Changer is on pole position right now as well, but we still yet to see time for the likes of Toxic, who has just invalidated his lap time, and so has Rafa as well. So they need to go into the pits very quickly. So a few facts about Spain. The first race was in 1913, with the first F1 race in 1951. This track wasn't used for the Spanish Grand Prix until around 1991, and that's where we saw Nigel Mansell win in the Williams, and he started to win a few championships there as well. Actually, no, he won 1992, but I don't think he won 1991. But who can remember the real-life race where Mercedes absolutely dominating, as Skivan has just binned it in turn 5. But yeah, hopefully we won't see a boring race like we saw in the real-life Spanish Grand Prix, of course. But it is league racing at the end of the day, and we could see much better. Like France, for example. France could be known as quite boring races, but it is exciting in league races. But we shall see, as the track temperature must be getting quite hot for these drivers now.
Well, we are just seeing a couple of drivers coming to the pits. Probably going to fit another set of softs, which is the ideal tyre to qualify on. It's going to be a very split strategy, actually. There's loads of potential options you can go for in terms of the strategy. You could go for a 2-stop if you really want to burn out the tyres, or soft to hard if you're really good at saving them. I'd say the safest strategy for drivers outside the top 10 is the mediums to hard strategy. I believe we've got one driver going on a lap, that's Skivan, but he's not using his ERS, and for some reason he didn't go into the pit lane there.
So maybe he was trying to set a lap there, but I'm guessing he might have misjudged him a little bit there as well. I won't be surprised if Skivan was just doing a banker lap and he's just invalidated in turn. It looked like he ended turn 1 into turn 2. Now, track limits are quite strict around here. I've tried it around Spain quite a few times, and it's hard to not invalidate around certain places on the circuit. So that's why quite a few people still yet to set a lap time, and it's 2 teams yet to set a lap time as well. And, you know, Skiban has not had the best of races. He was very disappointed with his performance last time out, but he only made it through 1 lap and then he retired. But, you know, I really do hope his performance in Peru. He's not that long before he passed the all-time record of the longest stint in PSGL F2. It was Ollie Flavel at one point, but now it would be Skivan if he can make it, of course. So Skivan will just need to hang it in there as well. I'm predicting 113s potentially for qualifying. I can't remember what F6 qualifying time was on Sunday. I think it was a 114, 113. So I think we could see a lot faster times for some of these guys. Will is about to start his lap. Actually, no, he's not going to start his lap. He invalidated again, and he has run out of fuel. So they're not leaving enough time to go out and set some competitive lap times. But I'm sure quite a few people have put the softer option on, because not many people have gone for the medium tyres or even the hards. So, you know, maybe they just want to get the softs out of the way, and obviously since they're only going to use one set of softs in the race, it's not harming them a lot.
I think you're absolutely right there. We've just got a couple more drivers finishing up some laps and beginning some more, and I believe Gononen's just gone 6th place there. He's not had the best start to the season, Gononen. Only 1 point so far in Hungary, so he's going to hope with that good qualifying as well that he can see himself far up the grid. But someone else has just crossed the line. That's Dario with a 1:13.9. That is the first time in the 1:13s in this session. He's only just in it, but it is still a 1:13. So well done to Dario there.
Yeah, a few people were predicting a 1:13.9, a 1:13.8, and we're already smashing it already. So people are underestimating what Dario can do at the moment. That is pretty good as well. And to be honest, the championship is far from over in terms of these drivers. There could be a lot of these drivers that make mistakes. Even Rafa could make a mistake sooner or later. We've seen in some championships where we've seen people absolutely dominate in the first half, and then they just completely fall down to the ground and then they miss their chance on the championship. But hopefully it won't happen to Rafa, but we shall see. Midnight's also on a lap as well. He's also invalidated his lap time and he's going to go into the pits. That is a little bit too close for comfort. Will has gone for a gamble strategy. He's going on to the mediums to set his next lap, I believe. Yeah, I think he's committed to the medium strategy. Hopefully he's got enough mediums to last the rest of the session. Just a talking point for some new drivers. Unfortunately, Lickle Blocks and Luke has left the league. Unfortunately, we do not know why. So we got C. Peters, also known as MNT Cedric, filling in, well, actually the full-time seat for McLaren for Luke. And we've got a new driver who is a full-time driver, VER Compassion 99, in the Alpha, replacing Lickle Blocks. Now, I've known Compassion to be quite a quick driver, but this is F2. This is a lot of pressure for him. This is the top tier of line-only drivers, so he's got lots to prove himself. I'm guessing he just wants to get some points on his debut and show what he's capable of.
Absolutely. Points is going to be vital for the newer drivers just to establish some confidence. MNT Cedric did that last week. He did end up in 10th position in that crazy wet race where we saw a couple guys try to make the 0 stop, I believe. Was it a 0 stop or a 1 stop? Well, oh no, they didn't swap onto the intermediate tyres. So they really did lose a lot of time in that, and they ended up getting punctures, 2 of the drivers, and that brought a couple of drivers into the top 10, one of them being Cedric, currently sitting in 9th right now at the drivers that have put in laps. And he's looking in a strong position for this race too.
Yeah, exactly. And Pablo as well, unfortunately, was one of the ones who did not benefit from the strategies in a few races. Like, he gambled on staying on those intermediate tyres around Silverstone, and it just did not pay off for him. For the McLaren driver, to be honest, it's better getting points than not. It would have been better getting 2 points than 0, but he just wanted to gamble to get in the top 3. Unfortunately, it backfired and he ended up getting 0 points from it. But, you know, today's a new race. This is his chance to really start to shine on this racetrack. He got a podium, so he is podium material as well. Will is out on the track, the only driver on the mediums. Let's see what he can do in the AlphaTauri as well. This is his second race, I believe, as a full-time driver. His first few races were a reserve. Oh, that was almost a shunt at turn 12 there, but he saved the car just in time there. It's a lot easier on this game. I think they got rid of the bump as well in the final corner. There's less of a bump than there was in the last game, so thank goodness Cody's actually fixed that. So here we go. Will's going to come across the line now. Let's see what time he's going to set. It's a 1:15.2, so not the fastest time on the mediums, but again, not too bad on the mediums. So all that just leaves is Midnight, Skivan, Toxic, and Rafa to set their final lap time. Rafa is not going to be setting a lap time as he spun it in turn 9. That's not. He's gone into the shorter bit of the circuit, the one where a lot of the GT cars were going as well. And yeah, I think he would have got a penalty if it was for the race. But yeah, this is not like Rafa to make mistakes like that, is it?
Well, with only 5 minutes to go in the session, he will be struggling to put on a lap right now. If he's way down the order, his win streak could be in jeopardy here because he's won every single race, including pre-season of season 26, and I think he would like to continue that. But if he's not able to put in a lap, that could really put him under some pressure for the race. Same with his teammate, who's second in the championship. I like to think of him as always the bridesmaid, but he's never been the bride. He hasn't won a race so far this season because Rafa's been that ceiling for him. So if both those guys are outside of the top 10, who knows what could happen in the race.
Exactly. I mean, this could shape the order up a little bit. I think Rafa, I spoke to Rafa last week. I responded to his tweet last week. He didn't do a rain dance last week like I thought he was going to do, and he was hoping there wasn't going to be rain, but he rose to the challenge and he did very well indeed. But I'm not going to be looking at the Twitter or the PSN chat to decide what the weather is. Well, to look at what the weather is. It's going to be an absolute surprise for both of us because I don't like being spoiled for weather choices. Midnight is about to start his final lap. It is the calm before the storm already. It's Midnight's one-shot qualify. Name change is on a lap 2, going past the turn at 12, or is he going to go into the pits because he's running out of fuel? I bet you he's going to go into the pits right now unless he just wants to get the lap out the way, but he's invalidated anyway, so he had no choice but to go into the pits. Greeny's about to start his lap. He's got some clean air ahead of him. He finished really well last week, said it was one of his best results to date. He was not expecting the results to be like he did, really. He was aiming for top 5 and he got P2, so you know, that's some extra points in the bag because Ferrari has not done very well in some races, and Greedy usually doesn't get the strategy right, but in Silverstone he got the strategy nailed on. Hopefully he can do that tonight.
I definitely think last week was a bit of a redemption story for him, considering what happened in Austria, which was his other race that he's partaken in. He didn't turn up for Hungary 2 weeks ago, so when he only got 10th, which was 1 point still, but he wouldn't have been happy about that one. So it was a bit of a redemption story. There was Midnight across the line with a 14.0. Wow. He jumps all the way up into second position. We've got a couple guys fitting the medium tyres. All of them haven't put in a lap right now. They are going to try and get into the top 10 on the yellow wall tyres to be in the best position strategy-wise for the race.
I thought Rafa and Toxic would have gone on to the softs, but obviously not. But Toxic is leaving it a little bit too late to go into the pit, so I'm a bit worried that he's not going to get a lap in time, but it is a short lap around this circuit. He goes out. There's also another car behind him as well. I believe that's Faz. Yeah, it is Faz, because he's the only Renault driver out on the circuit as well. That is a big train of cars going through the first sector right now. All of them are leaving it to chance right now. The ones that are going to benefit are the lights of Greeny with cleaner air, and also Rafa too, as well, as Rafa's just about to start. Oh, he's getting caught up in traffic right now. That's not what he wants. He's going to hope people move out the way, which Faz moves out the way for Rafa. Greeny retires from the session. He's pretty happy with his lap. Does he go in the pits, or does he retire? Oh, he actually was crashed in turn 9. Okay, so yeah, I see it in the map as well. Hopefully not many people get caught by that. Rafa, I think, hopefully will get the yellow flag warning popped up as well. There goes Pablo that moves out the way of Rafa. I think Rafa has time to set one more lap, though, because if he's outside the top 10, he does get free choice of tyres. But he doesn't want to be outside the top 10, to be honest. So he's going to go towards the final corner now. Maybe he may want to go on the medium just to show us off a little bit as well. And if he doesn't get this lap going on the mediums, then it might have backfired for him. And it is a 1:14.5 for Rafa. That puts him 12th place right now. And everyone's about to set their final laps on either the softs or the mediums. Kurat's very impressive in the Racing Point, 6th place at the moment. He's looking to score more than a few points this weekend.
Absolutely. Kurat's currently sitting in around about the mid-table in the championship at the moment. That's 15th position for him. He's only scored 2 points in this season. He got them at Hungary, so he's definitely gonna want to prove himself to be a PSGL F2 worthy, and with a lap time like that, I think he's pushing on this one as well, because through the first sector he was still improving, so he's gonna keep going on this, doing 2 laps on the same set of soft tyres, just so he can improve a little bit further. The clock has struck 0, so no more chances. If you haven't put on a lap right now, it's going to be your last opportunity to do so, and Toxic Tomato has left this very, very late.
Yeah, we do. I do believe we have one Racing Point that's crossed the line. That was Pat. Name change, it goes on the timing sheet. 1:13.8. Meanwhile, we've got an Alfa Romeo of Compassion. He can't improve on his lap time, but here we go. We've got the Racing Point on Kurat. Can he get higher than P6? He goes 3rd. Actually, that's very impressive. Next across the line is, I believe, Faz. Let's see if he can climb higher than P8. His highest position in qualifying was pole, and he doesn't get anything higher than that. We do have another Red Bull across the line as well. I'm just seeing what Rafa can do towards the final corner. His teammate, Rafa is going into the pit, so he's going to start outside the top 10 for the very first time. Remember, actually, both Williams are qualifying outside of the top 10, so maybe they're seeing things that we're not seeing, or maybe they just had a really difficult qualifying, but we have got a different pole sitter, and it's not Faz, and it's not Rafa, and it's not Toxic. So, at least the races we've had we had the same winner for all 3 races. For qualifying, this is our 4th different pole sitter.
Well, Rafa and Toxic, they did do their laps on the medium tyres, and looking at the spreadsheet here, the mediums are about 6/10 loss per lap. So if you do the maths there, if they were to do that on the soft tyres instead, they would have been very high up the order. So those medium tyres didn't help them get up the grid, and this is a track that's hard to overtake on, but they didn't get in the top 10.
Nope, they didn't. So let's go run for your order name changer. His first pole position, 7,000 of a second. Just look at that. We've got Dario, Kurax, Midnight, Pablo, and we got Greeny, Big C, Faz, CC Brain, and Gonanen. And then we got Pat, Rafa, Cedric, Compassion, Toxic, Benny, Skivan, and Will. The top 13 separated by 6 tenths, and the top 16 separated by 8 tenths, and the top 18 separated by 1.3 seconds. This was a qualifying I wasn't expecting to be close, but it was close. My oh my. So, what is the weather gods going to bring us today? Is it going to be dry for the first time? It is dry. Is it going to stay like this for the race? We'll have to wait and see. I was speaking to Dan earlier on, actually, and we both hope it was going to be a dry to wet race. So, it may happen, it may not, but that was probably why we did see Rafa and Toxic and Skeven go on the mediums, because otherwise, why would they go on the mediums if it was a wet start to the race? I did see in the chat, they did trick us on rain, but they were lying to us, so thank goodness I didn't believe them. So we should see. I think people outside the top 10 we got to pay attention to as well. Name changer, let's see how we could do across the line going into turn 1. It's going to be hard, especially if you've never been on pole for a while around Spain as well, because usually people in P2 get the best run into turn 1, but we'll see as the session goes on. You never know. We may see name changer take the win today. I think the only time where the person on pole has gone on to win the race was last week in Silverstone with Rafa winning the race. Every other pole position, no one has run from. So that is a stat you do not want to have in PSGL F2. But hopefully name change is going to be like Rafa did last week and convert his pole into a win today.
Well, leading off from pole on a track that's very difficult to overtake, there's not many opportunities where you can get by. And turn 1 is definitely going to be a crucial one. Dario is really going to look for the better start than name change if he wants to have a chance at the win later on today. And Curax is also one I can see jumping drivers at the start. It could be 3 wide into turn 1 if we're lucky.
Yes, indeed. So looking at the tyre strategies from outside the top 10, we've got quite a mixed bag actually. We've got 5 people on the mediums. That is, let me just go on board with them actually. There we go, that's Pat. That's the first person on the mediums. So we've got Pat, Cedric, Benny, Skeven and Will. And the only 3 on the hard compounder tyres is Rafa, Compassion and a Toxic Tomato. I can understand why Compassion would want to go on the hard compounder tyres, but Rafa and Toxic, I thought they would have gone for a medium to hard strategy. Hards could last about 20 laps around this circuit. It's definitely not a one-stop race if they were inside the top 10, because it altogether it's 30 laps if you add the soft and the hard stints together. So it will either be softs, medium, or mediums to hards potentially, or even soft hards. As we've got a few strategies popped up on your screens earlier, so hopefully that's given you an idea of what to expect. But before we start, who is your prediction to win the race?
Oh, you put me on the spot there. I didn't really think about that one. I'm going to say Midnight is going to come out of nowhere from 4th position. He had a really good qualifying actually. He went under my radar a little bit. I think he's going to win this race. Let's say Greeny in P2. I think 2 podiums in a row is going to be possible for him. And then we'll go with Rafa coming through the grid, I think. It's just a little feeling that I've got there. He can do it, I think.
Yeah, I think Rafa has a little bit of a Verstappen / Hamilton-esque kind of thing. He likes to climb his way up the field and he does it perfectly. Hopefully we could see that, but we shall see as we're about to get started with the race, as it's a dry start for the very first time in F2 this season. My oh my, I never thought I would have seen the light of day. But anyway, we're just about to get to the 5 red light on your screen now. We got name changer on the right, Dario on the left, and it is lights out, and away we go. Short hold this time, which is great to see, and less of a glitchy start, I think, at the moment, but I thought we might be proven wrong, as we got Dario already trying to go and get a move into turn 1. We got Kuratz in the middle of this as well. All of them going side by side going into turn 2 and 3. We're going to see how Kuratz can respond to this as well. A few people have spun in turn 3 already. That's Faz and Benny probably had a bit of a coming together as well. Rafa's already up into 11th place right now as Compassion spun. I think he's made contact with, I think, one of the AlphaTauris. That was Will, I think, as well. That was a bit of a shame there as well. So he's got damage there. So far, everyone else has made it through unscathed. And we're seeing Rafa trying to make a move past Pat again on those hard tyres. He's already gained loads of positions. You know, he's a dark horse in this race, even though he's in the championship. But he's proven why he's in the championship. He's going to get an easy move to Pat, surely, going into turn 10. And he does. A normal person would have been finding it hard to go past on the hard tyres because it's not the best race tyre. But Rafa, he's treating it like he's either on the the mediums or the soft tyres. Incredible.
You can't discredit Skeevan as well. He's moved up 7 positions off the start in that AlphaTauri car. Big C was also involved in an incident on his own, I believe, or well, someone else was there. Meanwhile, Kurak, never mind, it's all glitching out once again. I don't know who is where, but I believe Namechanger is leading this race from Dario, then Kurak's. So it's been a good start for the top 3. They've all maintained position, which is what they want to do at least.
I think I've done a bit of reverse psychology on Namechanger. I thought he wasn't going to get the best of starts, but he did, and he's going to hope that I haven't jinxed him in any way. But, you know, he's gone to Sean to get some better results in the previous race, I believe. If I just check what his result was last week, he got points. So every time he's finished, he scored. He's in 9th place. He's looking to score higher than that, obviously, as well. Don't worry, Pat is not leading the race. I do believe Pat is suffering from a bit of desync issues. Hopefully he'll get sorted. And the Deltas are gone on my screen now, and it's hard to see his commentators. Hopefully Cody's will get it fixed at some point. But yeah, it's fixed now. Pablo having a good start as well in 5th place as well. Big C dropping down to 12th place. Compassion getting back up the order in 13th place. I think he didn't get damage from that, actually, so he's staying out. Will, unfortunately, he had to pit, as well as Gonanan, Faz and Benny for some new front wings, so they will have to think differently on their strategies, which means more people on the hards. I think a lot of the people that were on the mediums, it didn't work for them, obviously, apart from Skeevan and Cedric, who are doing really well.
Absolutely, 9th and 10th for them, and they've both moved up a handful of positions. Skeevan moving up 8 places now. It's been a really good start for him, especially since he's not got points this season yet. So this is definitely what he wants to see, and Pablo take a bit of a half-hearted move on Greeny. Luckily, they don't come together, but I think Pablo does want to get a move on Greeny for 4th position. Greeny had a great start, actually. He jumped up 2 places from 6th on the grid, so he came out of nowhere. It was a really good getaway for him.
Yep, he has as well. Quite a few people have made some good positions. Let's look at the track positions gained. So Greeny's gained 2, CC Brain's gained 2, Skivan's gained 8, Rafa's gained 4 places, as well as Toxic Tomato. So they're working well together for sure. Cedric's gained 3. Compassion's gained 1, as well as Benny. Everyone else has either lost positions or stayed where they are. The top 3 staying where they are as well. Now we will see in a few laps time, the mediums will be the best tire to be on. We will head to the crossover point a lot earlier than previous races on the calendar, because obviously the softs don't last very long around here, so they want to get out of those softs really quickly. A little bit of a lock up from Pablo going into turn 1, but he's keeping the car under control for now. He's looking to not be in the same mistakes he did last week, but there's no rain at the moment, so you know, he's in a better position than he was last week for definite, and he definitely wants to get rid of those softs really quickly too as well. The gaps are starting to increase a bit more, so I'm guessing they're finding a bit of a flow. I think the only battle we could see is between Pablo, Midnight, CC Brain, which are all in that little train, and we also got Rafa, Skivan having a battle soon as well. Meanwhile, we've got Toxic and Cedric having a battle for P10 as well. Toxic is going to have the benefit from the DRS. I think the first DRS overtake that we're going to see this race, as Cedric's gone off. Cedric's gone off a little bit there. That's going to allow Toxic to breeze past the McLaren driver as he goes to the shortest line possible. There he goes. He's up into P10 in the point, and he's gained another position, gained 5 positions now as well. I think Cedric's mistake costed him there.
Well, Toxic Tomato did see that opportunity open. He just didn't hold back at all there. He made the overtake clean up the inside. Cedric will be kicking himself about going off the circuit at turn 9 there, but he couldn't do anything else really. So it's unfortunate for him. He's dropped out the points, but he's just going to hope that he can find a way back in soon.
Yep, exactly. As for the view of the other drivers as well, Dario's still not finding the pace at the moment to get past Namechanger, but these two are having a good race trying to keep up with the pace of everybody else. But obviously that is not as dominant as previous races for the leaders, because the gaps are around about, if I look at the gap to leader, gap around 3 seconds between the 1st and 7th place. So, you know, this is all going to be closer than we thought it was going to be. But it is hard to overtake. It's like Zandvoort. We're going to Zandvoort in just under 2 weeks' time, whereas another track where it's hard to overtake. It's quite fun to drive, but not fun to overtake. So, you know, I mean, it's like that, but Spain is used to the testing track, really, not really as a racing track that much as well. So it's kind of like a possession at the moment, but do not worry. I'm sure we're going to have people think about strategies pretty soon as well. As we can see, I think a few people are getting their pit windows open, as Dario is thinking of pitting next lap 6 to 8. So he's going to do the undercut. I didn't see what name change's pit window was as well. Meanwhile, Dario's got passed into the lead of this race as he goes through turn 1. Fantastic stuff.
Well, in his second PSGL start, he could be on for a win here. It was a nice clean move up the inside into turn number 1 with the DRS and use of overtake. It's pretty much a guaranteed pass at that point. But Name Changer didn't think to fight it too much because there was not more he could really do. So he just had to give up the position. He can fight it back. He's still in that DRS window, but he's also going to have the racing point of Kurak knocking on his door soon, because he's looking quite racy at the moment. Right behind him, 4 tenths back, whereas Name Changer's a little bit further back from Dario.
Yeah, this order is definitely shaken up between the top 3. It's three drivers that you're not expecting to be there. Dario may be as well, because he's quite fast on this game now as well. So maybe a few drivers are finding their feet a bit more on this game now, getting used to the ERS management on this game, the track temperatures and the tyre temps as well, and been practicing a lot. There's a few other drivers are in different leagues as well, so some of them may have raced Spain before, so they kind of know what to do. They've been practicing since basically after Silverstone last week, so they put in a lot of effort into making sure they get a good result. Not many people making mistakes except people near the back, so that is impressive from this F2 grid. Don't forget you can check F1 and F3 later on at 8 PM BST, but you still got the action for F2 now as well. Pablo almost looked like he was going to go for a move into turn 5, but unfortunately didn't quite work. Greeny having a lock up there. I think Pablo's gained a bit more time now. He could sense an opportunity as well, but Greeny will have DRS too, so this DRS train here is not going to be the one you want to be on. It's one of those tracks where if you get stuck in a DRS train, there's literally no way you're going to pass them, except if the car in front does not have DRS. So these guys have got a lot of work to do.
The gaps are pretty much staying the same throughout this top 7. Aside from a little bit of a stretch from the top 3, they're pretty much all staying at that maybe half a second mark. But look at that, Greeny now drops out the second window. He's got back in, but he's beginning to struggle, I think, and I believe some drivers will come to the pits. Yeah, there is Name Changer coming into the box now. Greeny doesn't have DRS, I don't think. Greeny's not got the DRS, but Pablo does, and now he's going to blitz down the start-finish straight, tuck into the 6th and swing out to the right-hand side, up the inside into turn number 1. He moves into 3rd position right now. Both drivers yet to pit, but Greeny's trying to fight him back through turn 2 and turn 3. He can't get it though. He seems to be struggling on these tyres. He runs out wide through turn 3.
Yeah, great stuff as well. I think Green, we are at the cutover point of these soft tyres. 7 laps. So, you know, that is where the tyres are at the optimum pace for these guys. So anything after 7 laps, then they're in danger territory pretty much. They can get to around about lap 9 and be absolutely fine. So we just need to watch out for the top 3 on track in particular. But the likes of Name Changer is going to hope he gets the best in lap he can. And he's on the hards. I thought he would go on the mediums. So maybe he's seeing something that we're not seeing. I thought he was going to do soft, medium, medium today. But maybe he's going to go soft, then hards, then maybe go onto the soft tyres towards the end so he can go faster in the race. But Name Changer is, I think, going through sector 2 now. He's purple sector 2, so the hards are faster. Here we go. We've got Dario and Kurat into the pits. So is Pablo Greeny out of C. CT Brain, I believe, will have to stay out because his teammate is going into the pits as well. Will Big C go into the pits? Big C, the only one of the soft runners staying out. All the other soft runners have decided to jump the gun and go into the pits. As they all, I believe, most of them are going on the hards, except Pablo, who's going on the medium compounded tyre. So Name Changer using his overtake button is going to be so close going into turn 1. I think we've got Dario just got the overcut. Well, not the overcut. He got the strategy right by pitting a lap later than Name Changer, and he's back in the lead of this race. Name Changer getting ahead of Kurax though, so that's really helped in there as well. Meanwhile, Faz and Pat are trying to go for a move into turn one. Almost a bit of contact there. He almost did like a Grosjean move there, but luckily he was not a Grosjean, thank goodness. But yeah, lots of moves to be done here, but we're going to see the ones who have been on those softs for pretty much most of this race so far, they're going to really start to struggle, the likes of CC Brain and Big C.
Well, this train from about 8th position, all these guys who are right at the front, they might catch up to some not lap traffic, just the traffic from drivers that are slower. What the first one will actually be Compassion. That's Dario's teammate. They're both full-time drivers now. City Break is sponsored, so does Big C. So maybe Dario's going to try and work together with Compassion. They're not fighting each other in this Grand Prix, but Compassion could maybe hold up Name Changer throughout this one, and Kurax and all those guys behind. But they're all just stuck in the DRS train. I think Kurax might have had a better exit than Name Changer's now coming to turn number one. Name Changer moving to the inside just a little bit. Kurax going to try and go around the outside. He's got the inside line for the next corner. This could be a great move. And there it is for second position, the net P2. What a move from Kurax there.
That was absolutely fantastic as well, but look at this, we can see he's almost going to be free wide as well. Name Changer has lost another position. Don't forget Pablo though is on the medium tyres. Pablo will still have to pit again, whereas the likes of Name Changer and Greeny may not, but actually they will have to pit again, because otherwise they will be in the cusp of punches. So everyone will need to pit again as Name Changer gets a free second time penalty, one on the first from the front runners already so far. So your net race leader at the moment is Dario in a P1, but I'm sure Compassion would want to hold up the rest of the field to help his teammate out of Dario, who is leading the rest of this train. But I won't be surprised if he does. Don't forget, Compassion could make those hard last 20 laps, so potentially for the rest of this race. So hopefully he doesn't get caught up in too much drama this race so far, but so far he's not doing too bad apart from that spin earlier. But sure, Compassion is going to let his teammate through, which he does. Very sportsman of him, but he's not going to let the likes of Kurax through or Pablo through, their rivals. So good teamwork there.
A little bit of contact between Kurax and Pablo. Pablo's trying to fight by the Racing Point car through turn 3. They're side by side now as Kurax gives him a little bit of a squeeze. There's more contact coming to turn number 4. Pablo sends it. He says, see you later. And he's got by Kurax there. So now he moves into P2, net P2. He's got Compassion ahead of him, he's not going to make it easy for the McLaren car to overtake.
Yep, indeed. Kurax, I think, could be the one man on a mission if he gets past Pablo. But Pablo, tyres will worn out really, really quickly, whereas Kurax could potentially try and save those tyres till the end. Pablo's going to try and make a move on Compassion. Easy does it, route 10, all banging wheels there. Compassion, be careful there, as Kurax getting held up again by traffic. We've seen this as a common factor in this F2 league. If you get held up in traffic, you're going to lose way so much time, and if you get caught up in the dirty air, your rear tyres just go kaput, and even your front lefts go kaput as well. So, you know, Kurax does not want to be where he is right now. Surely Compassion is going to let Kurax through, which he sort of does. Compassion does try to get a bit of defensive going from that as well, but Name Changer's right on the back of these lot as well. He's staying back, which is very brave of him. He doesn't want to get caught up in too much damage, as he wants to get his best result of the season and doesn't want to go where he's not wanted at this stage right now. As Compassion again lets Name Changer through. I assume he doesn't want to challenge people who want a different strategy for him, because they will have to pit again. We're on lap 12 of 33 now. At the moment on track, Rafa is leading, but he's still yet to pit, as well as Toxic, Skivan and Cedric. Skivan and Cedric will be pitting in a few laps time, whereas Rafa and Toxic will have another 8 laps to go before they'll be going into the pits. And yeah, potentially if Compassion continues that good teamwork with Dario, then maybe it could help Dario win this race.
Well, it's good to see from Compassion that when there's no real point in fighting those guys, he's not going to try and hold them up and just let Name Changer go by when it wasn't really going to benefit Dario if he did hold him up. So it's nice to see that he's got that mutual respect for the other drivers, and he's not going to try and hold anyone when no one really benefits. We actually did see that in real life with Grosjean in Hungary, where he held up some drivers who were on a completely different strategy than him, and it really did cost all of them. So no real winners from holding drivers up. So it's good to see compassion there, just letting him by and not making a fuss of it.
Yeah, but he didn't let Kurax by on Pablo when he let his teammate by. So, we've seen that sort of teammate rivalry going on in the esports cups in the past as well, where they have to work together in stuff like that. But it's great if you have a good team relationship in the regular PSGL leagues as well, because you want to try and win the drivers. That's your main goal. But the other goal is to win the Constructors' Championship as well. So far, it's going to be Williams hands down if they keep up this dominance that they've been showing so far this season. Unfortunately, they're not going to be dominating so much this race, but it just goes to show everyone has a down race, and it's how you pick up from those down races to get some good results. Lewis hasn't had every race go his way, so maybe the turn of the Williams to not have the best of races, or we could see a strategy masterclass from both of the hard runners. Maybe they could pull up a gap they need to go ahead of these guys, some of these guys in the pits. So yeah, that could be interesting to see, as we got Greeny and Compassion go for a move. Greeny, I think, again getting held up by Compassion, but again Compassion had no reason to defend that, so he lets Greeny through as well. We got Midnight and CC Brain up behind as well, but you wouldn't want to let people through there because that's a really hard place to try and do that. But that it's some strong performances from some people, some weak performances from some other people, but it's not about where you start, it's where you finish. So let's see how these drivers go for the second half of the race, because we're almost at the second half of the race.
Yeah, we're about to cross into that halfway point. I've been looking at the second time for Toxic Tomato and Dario. They're not actually that different, so they're pretty much at the same point at the moment. I assume that in a couple of laps time, Rafa and Toxic Tomato's tyres will begin to die out, but Toxic's just improved on his fastest lap. So he's doing really well on these tyres. They can go for maybe a bit longer. Cedric's going to come to the pits. We'll probably see Skivan come in next lap too. So the only thing between Dario and Toxic Tomato, once Skivan comes in, is clean air. And it will be a chase to see how Dario catches up. And there goes Pablo up the inside. I wasn't watching that. And he gets by into turn number 1 on those medium tyres. We'll have to pit again. So he's probably just going to count on building up a big gap now and then pitting onto a set of softs. I assume maybe another set of mediums, I'd probably think is actually more likely. But he goes by, he moves into the net lead of the Grand Prix. But on strategy, Dario is leading. He doesn't have to make another stop, most likely. I think he can bring those tyres to the end. I wouldn't expect so many drivers to come in and fit the hard tyres if they don't think they can go to the end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, these drivers are smart, most of these guys as well. They know what tyres to go onto. If a majority of guys were pitting onto the hard tyres, then they know what's going on, really. So, we're almost certain it's going to go to the end of the Grand Prix. I was hoping it was going to be a 2-stop race, but it's not. So, we're seeing a lot of different strategies to what we've seen in the other races, where quite a few people went on the mediums for their next stint before going on to another set of mediums for the final stint. Meanwhile, Skivan is on the mediums now. He was on his final lap before the tyres were losing its optimum pace, so he did the right thing going on to the hard tyres, and that's his will definitely go to the end of this Grand Prix. Now he's going to be on fresher hard tyres compared to his rival, so he's going to have huge advantage when he gets past the likes of Compassion or CC Brain in the long to distant future as well. The only one that could be under threat maybe is Big C and CC Brain, of course, who are only on 5 lap older tyres compared to Skivan. But those three can definitely make it till the end of this race. Name Changer still not trying to get past Kurax at the moment, but again, he's just finding his time right now, saving a bit of ERS when it needed, because if you lose too much ERS, the power is just not going to help you when you try to defend some overtakes towards the end of this race. And that is where we'll probably see a lot of people trying to make some moves. They're probably going to be saving now on this next stint of the race. But then when it gets towards the final 5 laps, that is when they're probably going to be starting pushing as well, if the conditions stay as it is. But only time will tell, of course.
But right now, it's looking like it's still pretty clear skies. There are a couple of clouds up ahead. I think Name Changer at this point, since Korax has dropped very far back from Dario, Name Changer is not going to try and fight this too hard. There's no point wrecking your tyres. So he's just going to hang back, save up a little bit of ERS, which he's doing pretty well right now, and just hang back in that DRS window and try and go for a move later on in the Grand Prix when it really does count. Because the position now on lap 17 is not going to mean anything if your tyres are destroyed and you're going to get a bumper at the end. So it's pretty smart from the Changer to not push right now. Just stay behind Korax right now. That's probably the only attainable position. So Pablo isn't pulling away from Dario at this point. He's hanging on in there, that Alfa Romeo car.
Yeah, he is. I mean, we could see a first different winner of PSGL F2. The first 3 races were won by Rafa in dominant fashion, but we could see someone that could potentially challenge the likes of Rafa and Toxic Tomato in races to come if it stays in dry conditions. Obviously, most of the race, actually all the races Rafa's won, it was in the wet for most of the races. So that was how he did it. So it's a different situation that Rafa is finding himself in right now. Even though I believe in a pre-season race it was dry. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll have to double check right now because it's been a long time since we've done the pre-season race, about 5 weeks now. So but Dario is definitely looking on course to be scoring his first win, and a lot of people will be looking at him saying this could be the person who will be in F1 in the future if he keeps this up as well, doing brilliantly on the likes of Pablo. Of course, Faz is having a really troubled race at the moment, down in last place. He goes on to the medium tyres. We do have a yellow flag somewhere, but I think that's just people moving out. No, actually, no, it might have been gone in, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but Will is still in 60th, but he's got Golan chasing behind him for P16. Midnight's still finding his time in P8, trying to get past Greeny. He's got the DRS, but again, a little bit too further back to make the move on this occasion. Again, you've got to be about a few tenths behind to try and make the move. And speaking of pit stops, Rafa is the first one of the hard runners who are still yet to pit to blame. Toxic Tomato will pit a lap later, I'm almost certain. But it's going to be really hard to try and make it to the end of this race. He's going for hards to mediums, does Rafa. So he's not doing hards to softs, he's doing hards to mediums. So I'm almost certain for Rafa they're definitely going to make it to the end. He doesn't want to risk it on the soft because the soft won't make it to the end if you go on the soft. So he means business. He comes across... I'm trying to get my words right here. He's in P6 now, so he's done the right thing pitting, and he's gained so much time with these laps as well as Toxic Tomato. I'm looking forward to seeing where Toxic could end up as well after all this.
Well, Rafa and Toxic both starting outside the top 10 could have asserted themselves as potential race winners. I don't actually believe I'm saying that considering they started so far out, but they both jumped. Like Rafa is in 6th place right now, and I believe that Toxic Tomato will come out around about 9th position because you're losing 20 seconds or so in the pit stop on this track. So as Toxic now does come to the pits. But I think these two could be within a really good shout of getting on the podium or maybe even a win.
Yeah, potentially as well. I think we could see a Williams 1-2 maybe, or even Dario winning. We'll see. You'll never know with these strategies. So Toxic again goes onto the medium tyres. We do see Name Changer go ahead as well as Rafa as well. So that promotes Rafa into 5th place. As Rafa's going to try and make a move on those fresher tyres past Name Changer. Just look at the gap between Rafa and Pablo. It's not that far at all, to be honest, if you think about it. Only 5 seconds. And I'm looking at my tyre data as well for this track, and you're losing more time on the hard. I think you're losing about 5 tenths more, potentially, or 5 or 6 tenths more compared to the mediums. So Rafa's wants to get past Name Changer pretty quickly as well, but again, Name Changer doesn't have to pit either, so he has the right to defend from this position. So we'll have to wait and see which is going to work out as Rafa breezes past going into turn 10. He goes and he's up another position up into 4th, and he's not that far behind Kurat. He's catching every fibre of his beam right now. Don't write out Rafa for the win of this race yet.
Well, Pablo's also going to have to pit. He's been on these tyres for 10 laps now. That's definitely not enough to go to the end of the Grand Prix. So he's going to have to come in as well. That'll put Rafa into P3. And considering where he started, he's made up, I'm just trying to see how many positions. He's made up 8 positions in this race. That means he started in 12th. It's been such a great drive from Rafa so far, and he's definitely not done as he's now beginning to reel in the leaders. 4.9 is the gap separating Pablo and Rafa. Expect that to come down. Ooh. And now Will is out of the race. I don't see where he's actually done that. I think he's done in the pit.
Safety
car is out. Oh wow.
I think, where did he retire? I can't see it either. So he might have retired on track most likely. Or it might, I don't even know, to be honest. It's hard to tell. But Pablo, I think if I was Pablo right now, or if I was Dario or Kurax potentially, maybe pitting would be the best option right now so you can reel the rest of the guys in. Well, if I was Pablo, definitely. But Dario and Kurax will have to think on their feet a bit more, and hopefully they know what tyres Rafa has gone on to. Maybe that will make their decision much more easier, deciding on whether they're going to pit or not. The softs, definitely not, but we could see quite a few people go on to the mediums. As Dario goes into the pit, so does Pablo. That has really helped these guys right now. See, Rafa staying out because he has just pitted. That's worked really well for Rafa. So we could see another Rafa win, which I thought was never going to happen tonight, but it has. So, you know, wherever Rafa goes, he's doing well. So he's like a Lewis Hamilton pretty much. As Skivan stays out as well. Obviously, he just pitted earlier on too. Wow, Pablo on the softs, you sure? He's it only lasts 7 or 8 laps. I don't think it's going to last till the end of the race, but he's going to hope the safety car is out for a bit longer, potentially. I've done the same mistake around China when the safety car came out and I had to pit for the final bit of dry tyres. I went for the softs thinking, yeah, I'll make it to the end, but then I realised how long it did last, and the tyres just overheated like crazy. So Pablo is going to be in a similar situation. So I'll be worried about if I was in Pablo's situation. But for everybody else, they've done the right thing. I think everyone has pitted, actually. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I think almost everyone. So Pablo, Dario, Kurat, Name Changer, Midnight, Greeny, CC Brain, Faz, Big C, Pat, Cedric, Benny, and Gonan. And they've all pitted. Again, the only ones who not pitted, because Compassion didn't need to, because he just pitted. So did Rafa and Toxic. Skeevan just pitted too. So they had no reason to, unless they had enough mediums to last. But yeah, that's changed the whole outcome of this race. You never know. We could see a Williams 1-2, and Dario is on the fresher mediums compared to Skivan as well. So this could be interesting. And Pablo, we don't know if his tyres are going to make it to the end in the number 95 car. So only time will tell. This strategy has been flipped on its head, Dan.
Thinking about Pablo right now, I don't know if he's going to have enough under this safety car. He might be able to save them a little, but we do have to do at least 2 laps. So next lap, we'll probably see the safety car coming since everyone's catching up. That will leave Pablo on about 9 or 10 laps on the tyres. And if he's pushing really hard to get to the lead, he might not be in the best position. I think it's definitely a gamble, but you can't take too many of these throughout the season because he's already taken 2 gambles in Austria and Britain, and look at how they panned out. They ended up with him out the points and in a retirement. So if he really wants to go somewhere in this championship, he's going to have to bank on something safe at some point. He did get a podium in Hungary, but that's not enough to rest on throughout the season. It's a risk that I wouldn't have taken personally. If I were Pablo, I wouldn't have taken it.
Pablo likes taking risks, as do a few drivers. If you don't take risks, you're not a racing driver at heart, really. And sometimes it could pay off, but for Pablo, I think anyone is too smart that the soft will not make it to the end as well. As I do see an Alpha gone off. That was Dario, actually. That's not going to do his tyres any good whatsoever. I don't think he's picked up any damage, so that's good, because he just went into the gravel trap just a little bit. So the safety car is going to potentially come in this lap, as pretty much everyone almost is caught up to the safety car. So it'll be up to Rafa to control the pace as soon as the safety car goes in, and it does go in right on cue. So good job I timed that well, as Rafa, interestingly enough, is trying to get a good space between himself and his teammate. Both of them trying to get as many points as possible. Don't forget, Toxic Tomato has yet to secure a win, even though he's second in at the championship. He's hoping to get one better from his teammate today. It's still possible. Toxic could have got the win in Austria, but penalties did not work in his favour. So Toxic is going to hope that he gets less penalties and tries to get the move on Rafa into turn 1. I did see a few people changing positions in the safety car. I don't know what happened there, but we're about to go into this safety car restart. Let's see. Rafa is already flooring it already, and so is Toxic Tomato. Both of them had a really good restart. Is Toxic going to challenge on his teammates? Not at the moment, but we can see Pablo already having the edge on those softer tyres on Ski Van, but for how much longer are those going to last as well? Dario trying to see if he can catch up to Ski Van, but again, he's struggling just a little bit to try and get us up to temperature as well. Kurax has had a good restart as well, 1/10 behind Dario too. So some people had really good restarts, some people need to wake up just a little bit. We haven't seen much moves going into turn 5 and 6, but we could potentially, now the field is closer together.
Well, now that the safety car has bunched everyone up together, a penalty could drop you all the way from, say, 4th and all the way down to 13th or something like that. It's crazy now that they're all close together, but the Williams seem to be streaking away at the moment. Pablo looking to reel them in on those Red Bull tyres. He's got 9 laps to do it, and it's going to be tough on the tyres. They'll be right on the edge at the very end, but in these early green flag laps, he's going to have a lot more grip and a lot more pace than the two Williams. It's just working together is what what Rafa and Toxic Tomato have to do. Is now they open it onto the start finish straight. There's no DRS, of course. We haven't gone into in enough green flag laps to have it yet, but no moves into turn number 1 from what I can see throughout the field.
No, not at the moment. I'm guessing they are waiting for the DRS, but maybe Midnight could change that. It was almost on the back of Name Changer again, couldn't quite get it done as well, as they all go through the swooping turns 4 and into turn number 5. That was where we've seen quite a few people go off in real life, of course, but you know, that wasn't how it was caused a safety car at this time around. It was caused around about, I think it was turn 1, or it might have been the final corner where he hit the wall, but it'll be nice to get a POV from Will, actually, to see what happened. I do believe that's Will's first retirement of the season, because every time Will is finished, he's been in the points. So that was Austria, got 6th in Austria, 5th in Hungary, 8th in Britain. So, yeah, that's not looking good. Meanwhile, Dario is definitely on the charge here to get a podium. Dario has just got past the charging Ski Van for 5th place. I'm not going to say too much about Ski Van because I'm worried I'm going to jinx him. But Ski Van, the only ones that stayed on those hard tyres, you can see the ones on the medium really starting to chase him down, and maybe that can hurt him throughout these later stages of the race where the mediums will start to come to his own just a little bit more.
Well, with Ski Van holding up the train there, Dario has lost so much time from the 3 leaders, and what could have been a potential win might not even see him get on the podium. He's just got to get his head down and fight with these guys. Pablo's still trying to make an overtake on Toxic and Rafa. He doesn't want to get too comfortable behind them. He wants to get a move sooner rather than later, because if the tyres go off, at least he's in front to defend his position instead of being behind them. But now DRS has been enabled. We will see some moves going into turn number 1, but Rafa could be a sitting duck to his teammate. They might strategically let each other by. Now Big C's getting a penalty, and I think that is Kurax getting by on Skeven, is now dropping down the order, which was to be expected with the tyres not being as quick as the mediums in their early life.
Yeah, I mean, he was from one that lasted for Ski Van, but you would expect due to the delta that a lot of the people on the medium runners would go past him. Anyway, for some of them it will be a bit difficult to get past the hard runners, but for some of them it will be easier. The reason why it will be harder for some people would be the dirty air, as well as there was a bit of a nudge between Name Changer and Kurat going into turn 1 there. That was a bit risque. Oh my god, there's a Name Changer's lost a bit of his end plate. Luckily he is spun and ghosted, because otherwise that would have caused a big pile up in turn 1. So his race has gone from really good to okay to not very good at all. Kurat is now out of the session. That's probably, he maybe got too much damage, and that's why he had to retire, of course. But what a shame for these guys. They could have been on for some really big points today. And with that risky move, both of those points just went out the window for them. Again, another risk, and they failed, which is very unfortunate, but that's going to put more people into contention to get points. Compassion could be on for his first points of the season now, if he could keep Faz and Big C behind him. Big C is looking to get points. He's scored points every single race so far. He doesn't want to get rid of that streak.
My heart sank when I saw Name Changer and Korax make contact. Both these guys struggling for the early points in the championship, and when they were in such a good position, it just slipped through their fingers. It was really painful to watch, and there's nothing they can do about it except practice for next week and secure some more points for that. Pablo still can't find a way past Toxic and Rafa though. They're separated by about 6/10, these three. And Dario not finding much time either. He seemingly is dropping back from the front three. So I don't think he'll be on for a podium at this point.
No, I don't think so as well. And that could bring Skivan into contention too. Don't forget, there's still penalties to be decided as well. Quite a few people have got penalties so far this race. So that might mean a lot of positions losing, because the whole field is bunched together. The only one that's not bunched together is obviously Name Changer, who is going into the pits, and I won't be surprised if he retires, but I hope he doesn't. He may go for fastest lap, which I do believe he puts on he puts on a bit of soft tyres, so he's going to go for fastest lap. Fair play to Name Changer for keeping going. I like drivers who may have not had the best of races, but still have something to fight for, even though you're not going to gain a point, because you're not going to get better unless you race on the racetrack. So at least he's going to find some time. Meanwhile, we got Toxic, almost going to try and make a lunge on his own teammate, Rafa, but again, he was just a little bit too further back to get him. I think if he was a tenth more, that would have been good. As Pat is out of the session. He's retired in the pit lane. Okay, so he's had enough of his race, I take it, which is a bit of a shame, but that now leaves 15. Yeah, 15 drivers still in this race. Meanwhile, Compassion and Big C having a battle into turn 5. Big C is really going to try and get past Compassion in these later stages. Who said you can't overtake in turn 7? And Big C does it. Wow. Great stuff from Big C. He's in the points right now. And he's keeping his point streak alive. And get on, Big C.
That was a really committed move from Connor there to get by on Compassion. So Compassion dropping out the points, but I do believe that Connor has a penalty, so yes, it could be an issue for him later on if none of the guys behind him who are within 3 seconds of the Mercedes driver, if none of them have a penalty, it could be an issue for him as a Name Changer. His woes continue. He gets a 3-second time penalty, and we've lost him again. He spun off at turn 3 there.
Yeah, oh, look at his tyres. His tyres are not looking the best whatsoever. So, yeah, must have had a few more spins there. Yeah, his rears must be overheating. I think all of his tyres must be overheating due to that spin, because if you spin too much around this circuit, you're going to lose so much time. China is another track where you can't really afford to spin too much. Now, gap between Rafa and Toxic still 4/10 for second, same to Pablo, but expect Pablo to drop off in a few laps' time. 7 laps. 2 more laps, potentially, for Pablo. And then he's got to be doing some fuel saving, some tyre saving, short shifting potentially as well. It's going to be close again for Pablo. I just hope the risk pays off this time, because I don't want to see what happened to him in Britain, in Austria, where he both got those punches just for staying out on the tyres too late. If I look at the gap between the guys, if there was no safety car, if Pablo went into the pits, he would have got points. But I think he has nothing to lose in either situation, so that's probably why he's staying out. And yeah, name changes out the race, which is to be expected, really. As Toxic, is he getting close enough again? I think he's going to get closer and closer lap after lap. But again, we don't know if Toxic has got penalties. So we could see Toxic still challenge for the win. He didn't have a good race last week, but he wants to get a better race this week. And my oh my, he's showing that he wants to put a fight to his teammate. Williams are looking like the favourites to be Constructors' Championships right now, and they're really working together. But for now, I'm sure the Williams bosses would want to let them race.
And Pablo's still moving behind them. These tyres are going to begin to go, but he's still not losing time to Toxic or Dario. And with only 2 laps left this time by, I don't think Dario's going to be able to shout the podium. But Pablo might also drop out here. And I don't believe it. From the qualifying, but we might see a Williams 1-2, which I don't believe we've seen since the first race. And Rafa could be on for another win.
That's just crazy. I thought Rafa would have climbed a little bit, maybe to get a podium, but to get the win, we did have sort of expectations that he could do it, but I was a bit worried he didn't. Meanwhile, Toxic again, much closer, but not close enough. This is great. This is like Hamilton and Rosberg in Bahrain, where the very best of the best are fighting to get the win. It's like Hamilton and Bottas as well, where they've been fighting as well, but both of them are on equal pace. Rafa just having the edge at the moment. I don't know what you would want to be in this situation. Would you want to be the one who's chasing or the one in front? But if you were in Spain, definitely the one in front, because obviously it's hard to overtake, but you'll be in much more pressure to not make mistakes. So this could be very exciting for these two as well. If Pablo makes it to the end with those soft tyres, he's going to be driver of the day no matter what. So hopefully he does. Touch wood. I'm praying to God if he does, it could work out wonders for him. The gap between Pablo and Dario, 1.5 seconds. Not sure if Dario has a penalty, but we'll have to wait and see as we go towards the final stages. This is the be-all and end-all. This is Toxic's chance to catch up. This could be his only chance to try and catch up to Rafa.
Oh, and there he goes. He goes by on his teammate, trying to make a move up the inside into turn number 1. Toxic Tomato leads the race and could break Rafa's win streak here because he's got by on his teammate. He moves into P1 on the final lap of the Grand Prix. He's just got to bring it on home. Pablo's still dropping back, and Dario's trying to reel him in here. But I don't think it's going to be enough for the end. I think Pablo might secure this podium if he doesn't get a puncture. His tyres are going to be right on the edge. They'll be on the limit. Any puncture, a small puncture at this point could unravel the entire thing for him. He's going to be tiptoeing around the circuit. Now he's out of DRS range here. And he's actually just got back in. Luckily, he's got it there. But it's going to be a test right to the end for these two.
Luckily, Pablo Dario didn't get DRS from Pablo anyway, so I think he will just about get the podium. But Rafa, I think, is a little bit too further back to get past Toxic in the final corner. So Rafa has won the first 3 races, but not today unless Toxic gets penalties. Toxic comes across the line to take his very first win in F2 for a lot. No, he doesn't. Toxic's got penalties. So for the 4th time this season, and the only winner in F2 so far, Rafa wins again, and Pablo gets P2 after being on those soft tyres for 11 laps. Incredible from Rafa, incredible from Pablo, but Toxic, he's dropped way down. I didn't actually catch how many penalties he got.
I believe it was just 3 seconds there, but Rafa's proved today that he can do it in the wet. And he can also do it in the dry. He takes the win from 12th on the grid. What a great drive from him. And he might be a candidate for driver of the day. Again, he's won it on the votes every single time each week. And he stands atop the podium. He takes the win. And it is another win for Williams and also for Rafa in his championship campaign.
I've got to say, fair play to Rafa for not making it look easy. And this is the second race this season where Toxic's won it on track, but due to the amount of penalties he's got, he's dropped it to 4th place. So it's not a Williams 1-2, but I've got to say, Pablo did a fantastic job. Dario getting his first podium of the season. Could he get better and win the race next week? We shall see. So we've got Rafa, from Pablo, from Dario, from Toxic, from Skivan, from Greeny, from Midnight, CC Brain, Faz, and a Big C. His streak is still there as well. Rafa is keeping his win streak. Big C is keeping his point streak. But in 10th place, only just though. Compassion just missing out on his first point of the season, with Cedric in 12th, Gonanen in 13th, Benny in 14th, who gets the award for the most penalties. And your retirements are Name Changer, Pat, Kurex, and Will. I've got 2 contenders for Driver of the Day. I don't know who to pick, but I've got to say, coming from 12th on the grid to winning the race, surely has to go to Rafa, isn't it?
I definitely think he's going to be up there. Pablo's also another one that I throw in the hat. And someone else, the last podium setter I would definitely put on is Dario, of course, because on his second race in PSGL, he put in yet another great performance. He led the race for quite a long time, and he got P3 in the end from second on the grid. So he's done really well today. I'm going to put him up for Driver of the Day too.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree with that as well. And what would have happened without that safety car? Maybe we would have seen a different winner? We shall see. So watch out for this guy. Watch out for Dario next week when we head to Belgium for the Belgium Grand Prix. And no rain to be seen at all today. So I did the sun dance in the tweet. F2 had put a sun on their tweet as well, so that kind of helped the drivers in the way. So you can thank us later. So, and thanks to Dan for joining me in the commentary box once again.
No problem. It was a pleasure to be here again.
Make sure you join us next week for the Belgian Grand Prix. But don't forget, there's still more PSGL action happening today and tomorrow, with F1 and F3 happening right now. They're just about to go into the end of their qualifying, and there's also Formula Performance on tomorrow at 8 p.m. as they do their Spanish Grand Prix. I've been Jess, Dan's been V8 Field, and we will see you next week in Spa. Have a good evening. Enjoy F1 and F3. Goodbye.